Hello, my anatomists. This is Miss Anastasiadis, obviously. I am in Mount Calvary and recording your lesson for tomorrow's class, which will be September 14th. We are going to be talking about lesson 5, which is all about levels and planes. So the essential question that we're going to answer in today's lesson is, what value is there in the ways that we organize the body? Remember that this is one of our two essential questions from our unit. The other essential question is, how can I justify the ways we use a shared language to communicate about the body? Keep those two questions in mind when you are studying for your final exam for this unit, because those will be questions that we're trying to answer with this unit. Okay, just a quick heads up, your next class on Monday, September 19th is when you are going to have quiz number 2. Quiz number 2 is going to be on lessons 3 and 4, so it will not include this current lesson. Okay, so quiz number 2 is on Monday, September 19th, and it is on lessons 3 and 4. Feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions about what the quiz is going to cover. So here we go, lessons 3, 4, quiz on September 19th. So today we're going to be talking about our levels of organizations, but then we're also going to be talking about our body planes. So levels of organization should be something that should remind you of middle school biology and maybe freshman year bio. We know that the smallest kind of unit of life is a cell, but we can actually get smaller than that. So at the very, very first level of organization is actually the chemical level. So that would be things like our hormones. And our chemicals will impact our organelles. Remember that organelles are all of the things inside of our cells that help our cells function. So as long as you have a multi-cell organism, you're going to find lots of different, even unicellular organisms have a lot of different organelles in them. When we talk about organelles, we might be talking about things like the nucleus, the Golgi body, the endoplasmic reticulum, whether it's smooth or rough, the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. All of those are our organelles. And all of our organelles together make up a cell. So then we move on to the cellular level. And a group of cells all together creates a tissue. So now we're moving up to the tissue level. A bunch of tissues put together creates an organ. A bunch of organs put together create an organ system. And then all of our organ systems put together will create an organism. So in this class in anatomy and physiology, we're going to be looking at all of our different organ systems, and we're going to see how that impacts our organism, which is our human body. So take a second and think about, why do you think that the levels of organization are important to know? So you can pause the video right here, and then you can try to answer that and then come back to see what the answer is. So the levels of organization are important to know because diseases and malfunctions occur at a bunch of different levels. So knowing which level is affected is going to be really important to let scientists target the level for treatment. So let's put that down in our packet under the question, why are the levels of organization important to know? And that reason is that diseases and malfunctions occur at different levels. So knowing which level is affected lets scientists target the level for treatment. So you need to know if you're targeting the cellular level, if you're targeting the organ, if you're targeting the organ system, if you're targeting the entire organism. So that's the first half of our lesson. The second half of our lesson is all about body planes. So not airplanes, but planes as in, like in math, in geometrical planes. So we use the planes to enhance our study of organs or body parts. Sometimes the body planes are referred to as cuts or incisions used in dissections or surgery. So when we are doing dissections, when we do open up our organisms, we're going to make sure to listen to the directions on how to cut into said organism. And those directions are going to involve body planes. So it might be something like do a frontal cut. You need to be able to know what the frontal body plane is. And that's going to be one of our 3 body planes that we're going to learn about today. Okay, so along with our directional terms, we can view the body or organs in different orientations and know how it fits with the anatomical position. So think about, once again, when you're doing like an MRI, if you've ever seen those images of like a brain MRI, you see all the different levels of the brain because the MRI is taking layers, is taking planes of images of your brain and then compounding them all together to give you an image of what's going on in your head. So let's look at our 3 different planes. There are more than that. These are just the 3 planes that we are going to use in this class. So those are the only 3 that you're going to be responsible to learn. The first one is sagittal plane. So the sagittal plane, as you can see, divides your body into a right and a left half. So it's going right down the midline of your body. The next one is the frontal plane. So remember, I just mentioned the frontal cut. That is dividing your body or your organ or your organism or whatever you're cutting into 2 sections, anterior and posterior. So front and back, you're cutting it up and down. And then the last one is transverse. And there you're cutting your organism into superior and inferior parts. So top and bottom, you're cutting it in half that way. So now let's add on to our definitions at the bottom of our graphic organizer. So once again, we're saying that the sagittal plane, which is the first plane, divides the body or any of its part into left and right sections. The mid-sagittal plane means that you're dividing it in equal halves. So if you look at my funny little face in this camera, if you are doing a mid-sagittal plane, then you are cutting right down the middle. If you're doing a sagittal plane, it could be anywhere. It could be right down the middle. It could also be a cut right here, where I just have this little sliver of my face on one side and this giant part of my face on the other. It could be the other way, where I've got my sagittal plane that's just cutting right here, where the major part of my cut is on this side of my face, and then just a tiny bit for my face over here. So mid-sagittal is the only one that means that you're dividing in exactly equal halves. If you just say sagittal, all you know is that you're cutting left and right. You don't know where. If it's in the middle, if it's 1/4 and 3/4, if it's 2/3 and 1/3, not quite sure. Okay? Now, our next plane, remember, is our frontal plane. And so that's going to divide the body or any of its parts into anterior and posterior sections, so front and back. We don't say things like mid-frontal plane, just frontal plane. And it could be a little bit forward, a little bit back. It could be 50-50. However you want to cut it, you just need to make sure that you're cutting it vertically so that the front part of my body is on one side and the back part of my body is on the other. And finally, the last one is our transverse plane. And so that's going to divide the body or any of its parts into superior and inferior sections. So that would be like if you got cut, like chopped your head off, the superior portion would be just your head. The inferior portion would be the rest of your body. That would still count as a transverse cut or a transverse plane. So that is it for our actual lesson. At this point, you can pause this video. Let me move my face out of the way. I think I can do that. Can I do that? Yes. So sorry, new devices. So I move my face in the top right corner in theory. And so now you should be able to see all of your vocabulary words that you need to fill in for this lesson. So your first vocabulary word is the cell. And you should remember this from freshman year bio, that the cell is the smallest functional unit of life. And that's the only and last vocabulary word that's on that first page of vocabulary. On the second page of vocabulary, you have five words. We've got organ, which is a group of tissues that perform a specific function. Then you have your organ system, which is a group of organs that work together to perform one or more functions. Then you have an organelle, which is your specialized structure within a cell. Then you have your organism, which is a living thing that is made up of smaller parts that function. Really important that it functions. And then tissue is going to be a collection of cells forming a definite structure with a specific function. So remember, structure is how it's physically built. Function is how it works. Okay? So at this point, we are done with Unit 1. Congratulations. Your vocabulary should be complete, as well as every single page of your note packet. And that is it. You can get started working on your unit assessment review. So your unit assessment will be Friday, September 23rd. So that's next Friday. So make sure that you study up for that. At this point in time, what I would like for you to do is to take out a blank sheet of paper, and we are going to practice what we just learned on a sheet of paper. So I'm going to give you 7 practice problems. You're going to write down the answers on your piece of paper. Unfortunately, I'm not here to check it for you, so you can't keep trying until you get it right, but I just want you to make your best educated guess and write your answers down on the sheet of paper, all 7 answers, and then you're going to turn that in to Mrs. Hennigan, who is your substitute teacher today. Are you ready? Pause here. Make sure you write your first and last name on the sheet, as well as today's date, which is September 14th. Okay, let's do this. Practice time. It says the next 7 slides show questions. Write your response, hold it up to be checked. We already discussed that. You're just going to turn it into Miss Hennigan. Practice number 1. Where is the heart found inside of the body? So please be specific, either with your directional terms, with your body regions, or your cavities. Practice 2. Which type of cut was performed to view the brain this way? So this is what we were talking about, where this is obviously the dissection of a brain, but MRIs create images very similarly to that. A big clue is using this compass. You know that in front is anterior, in the back is posterior, and this is the right side and this is the left side of the person's body. So what type of cut do you think was performed so that we could visually see the inside of a brain like this? Pause here, and when you are ready to move on to the next question, you can unpause me. Practice number 3. The spleen is an example of which level of organization? Is the spleen chemical level, organelle, cellular, tissue, organ, organ system, or organism? Okay, so you have to tell me which one it is. You don't need to give me a full sentence. Just write number 3 and then tell me which one you believe that the spleen is which part of. Question number 4. What cavity is the cavity that is pointed at with the red arrow? You can use your notes for this. It would be great if you didn't, just so that you can test out your knowledge, see how ready you are for your unit assessment. But if you're really not quite sure, you can definitely use your notes to flip to the class from last class. So that would be all about our body cavities. 3 more. Practice number 5. Moving the arm as shown in the picture is to move it along which plane? So the image is literally just raising and lowering its arm. So if you're moving like this, or kind of like if you were making a snow angel, what plane is it moving along? Is it moving along the sagittal plane, the frontal plane, or the transverse plane? Okay, so let me know, write it down. Question number 5 out of 7. Okay, question number 6. I would like for you to fill in the blank, not all the numbers that are in the image. We will learn about all of those bones when we study the structure of our skull. You will be responsible for learning all of these bones, just not today. Today, I want to know, what kind of view is it? Is it a posterior view? Is it a frontal view, a transverse view? How do you view this skull? And then finally, last question, what type of cut was performed to view the eyeball this way? So the eyeball was cut vertically, going straight up and straight down. So what kind of cut is that? Make sure to put your answers down on your sheet of paper and turn that paper into Mrs. Hennigan. If you've made it this far, congratulations, you are nearly done with class. The last bit that you need to do for me is to complete your lesson 5 question set. If you get it done during this class period, please turn it into Mrs. Hennigan. She will get it to me and I will have it graded and returned to you before next class. If you don't quite have it finished by the end of this class, feel free to take it home. You've got a nice long 3-day weekend to work on it. And then Monday afternoon, when I see you next, I will collect it from you, grade it, and give it back to you so that you can use it to study for your unit assessment. So like I mentioned, question set, it says lesson 4. It should be question set lesson 5. And when you are done with that, you can get started on studying for your quiz number 2, as well as your unit assessment. If you are done with all of those things, you may do work for another class. You may listen to music. Whatever you choose to do, you just need to do it silently and respectfully. I'm sure that you guys are going to be wonderful to Mrs. Hennigan as your substitute teacher. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, that's it for me. Have a great weekend. I will see you next class, which will be Monday. See ya. Bye.